The sky was calm when the Eden Ark rose above Earth for the last time. It was the biggest ship humans had ever built, carrying 50,000 souls who had left everything behind. There were no soldiers, only families, old people, children, doctors, and dreamers. Earth was dying, but this ship was their hope for a new world. Inside, people cried as they watched the blue planet grow smaller. Some held hands, some whispered prayers. It was a peaceful goodbye. For a moment, it felt like they had a chance. But then something dark moved across the stars. A giant black shape appeared without sound, without warning. It was not human. The ship's systems tried to connect, to speak, but the shadow answered with fire. Explosions lit up the windows. The Ark shook violently. Alarms screamed. Walls cracked. People ran, shouting names, searching for loved ones. Fire spread fast. Smoke filled the air. A mother grabbed her child and tried to run, but the ceiling crashed down in front of her. She screamed as everything turned red. The sky outside burned, full of fire and shadows. Inside the Ark, people cried out in fear. In just minutes, the dream became a nightmare. Humanity began to scream. Bodies lay still in the smoke-filled corridors. The lights inside the Eden Ark flickered as the fire kept spreading. Sparks fell from the broken ceiling like rain. Somewhere deep in the ship, a boy cried for his mother, his voice lost in the chaos. The attackers gave no warning, no reason, and no mercy. The black alien ship hovered outside, silent and cold, watching as humans died. Captain Rhea, bleeding from her forehead, pulled herself up from the floor of the command bridge. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to move. She could hear her crew screaming over the radio, calling for help that would never come. She looked at the screens. Half the ship was already gone. She knew they had minutes, maybe less. With tears in her eyes, she sent out a distress signal to anyone who could hear, but there was only silence. The enemy ship moved again, slowly, like it was enjoying the pain. Rhea saw children hiding under chairs, mothers shielding babies with their bodies. Her heart broke, but she couldn't stop. She ran to the backup controls, hoping to activate the emergency pods. The system was damaged, but she kept trying. Every second mattered now. Outside, the sky was still burning, and the screams had not stopped. The Eden Ark had gone quiet in some parts, but the silence felt worse than the screaming. Smoke covered the halls. Fires burned low, casting long shadows across the broken metal floors. Captain Rhea moved carefully now, her lungs hurting from the smoke. She wasn't alone. She had found a few survivors, an old engineer named Malik, a nurse named Hannah, and 2 frightened children who couldn't stop crying. They hid in a small maintenance room, locking the door behind them. But even there, they didn't feel safe. Something was moving in the ship, not just fire, not just broken machines. Footsteps, slow, heavy, the kind that didn't belong to any human. Through a cracked security camera, Rhea saw one of them. The enemy. It wasn't a monster with claws. It was tall, calm, and almost human-looking. But wrong. Its skin was gray. Its eyes were empty. It walked slowly through the hall, stepping over dead bodies, pausing only when someone was still alive. Then it would crouch, look deep into their eyes, and wait. It didn't kill with weapons. It killed with silence. The moment the human gave in to fear, they stopped breathing. Rhea felt sick. These creatures didn't just destroy ships. They studied pain. They fed on it. And they were still watching. Rhea knew they couldn't keep hiding. The creatures were moving deeper into the ship, and every minute brought them closer. She looked at the 2 children, both too young to understand what was happening, but old enough to feel afraid. Malik whispered that they had one chance. If they could reach the lower engine control, maybe they could restart the emergency defenses. It was risky. That section was already damaged, and some parts were on fire, but staying meant death. Rhea nodded. They had to try. They moved through the wrecked hallways, staying low, stepping over shattered glass and burnt bodies. Every sound made them freeze. Once, they saw one of the creatures standing in a broken doorway. It wasn't chasing them. It just stood still, like it was listening to the ship breathe. Rhea grabbed the children and waited behind a wall, her heart pounding in her chest. The creature turned its head slightly, then moved on. They were close to the engine room now. Inside, the smell of smoke was thick. Sparks fell from open wires. Malik limped to the console, trying to reboot power. Hannah held the children close, whispering soft words to calm them. Rhea stood near the door, holding a broken pipe like a weapon. She didn't know if it would help, but she had to fight. Not just for herself, but for all of them. They couldn't die silent. Not like this. Malik's hands moved fast over the old control panel, trying to bring power back to the emergency defense grid. His face was covered in sweat and ash. The system was damaged, but not dead. Lights blinked. A weak hum returned to the engines. It was enough. Rhea looked at the screen. Some doors could be sealed. Some fire suppressors could be turned back on. It wasn't much, but it could give them a few minutes. Maybe that's all they needed. She told Hannah to take the children to the far escape chamber. If the pod still worked, they had a chance to survive. Hannah nodded, holding the little ones close as they ran. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed through the metal floor. One of the creatures had found them. It stepped into the engine room, its long arms moving slow, its head tilted to the side like it was curious. Malik froze. The creature walked toward him, its eyes locked on his fear. Rhea shouted and ran at it with the broken pipe. The alien didn't move fast. It didn't need to. It turned, reached out, and touched her forehead. For a second, she saw her memories flash. Her childhood, her parents, the earth, then the pain. It wasn't physical. It was like the creature was drinking her sorrow. But then something happened. She screamed. Not from fear, but from rage. A deep, loud scream full of pain and defiance. It echoed through the walls. The creature stepped back, confused. Malik used the moment to trigger a heat vent. Fire burst from the ceiling, lighting the alien in flames. It let out no sound as it burned. Rhea dropped to her knees, shaking. The scream had saved her. It wasn't just pain the creatures wanted, it was surrender. But she wasn't ready to give that. Not yet. The emergency power flickered one last time as the engines coughed to life. Systems were weak, barely holding, but alive. Malik activated the last manual override. The countdown began. 10 minutes to core overload. There was no turning back now. If the creatures stayed inside the ship, they would burn with it. It was humanity's last scream, and it had to be loud enough for the stars to remember. Rhea sent a signal to all remaining escape pods. "Get out now," she said, her voice shaking but strong. "This ship dies here, with them." She ran through the halls, finding Hannah and the children near the pod chamber. The little girl was crying, asking for her mother. Rhea knelt down and hugged her tight. "Be strong," she whispered. "You're going to live. You're going to tell the story." The pods launched, one by one, drifting into the black sky. Rhea stayed behind. Malik had fallen back near the core, too weak to move. He gave her one final smile, then closed his eyes. She stood alone in the control room now, blood on her hands, fire all around. Outside the window, the alien ships hovered silently, watching, waiting. Rhea stared at them. "You wanted our fear," she said quietly, "but we gave you fire." The timer reached 0. In the next second, the sky exploded. A bright light swallowed the Eden Ark. Everything turned white. Days later, the escape pods were found drifting near a small moon. A rescue ship picked up the survivors. Hannah held the children close as they looked at the stars. One of them whispered, "Did we win?" Hannah nodded slowly. "We're still here," she said. "That's how humans win. We scream, and we survive."